Hello and a warm welcome to all the Markets at Money Control viewers. This is a segment where we tell you what's buzzing on Dalal Street. But before we take a look at what's happening in markets, let's take a quick look at the top headlines. First on the list is crackdown on shell companies. Government has said that it has deregistered 2 lakh firms and the names of these companies will be struck off from register of companies. On the geopolitical front, Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned of a global catastrophe over the North Korean impasse. And on the other hand, Chinese President Xi Jinping at the BRICS summit has said that its leaders will deepen security and political cooperation. He also said that he will work on and he will bring back India and China relations back on track. On the corporate front, Infosys, which has been in the limelight for its leadership battle, will delay its second quarter results for the first time ever for 2 weeks to October 24. And it looks like the IPO season is not going to end anytime soon. ICICI Lombard has received a go-ahead from SEBI for Rs 6,000 crore IPO. That's the news in focus. Now let's get chatting with Money Control editor Santosh Nair and find out what's happening on Dalal Street. Hi Santosh, good morning.
Morning, Mariam.
So as I mentioned earlier about shell companies, what will be the fate of these firms now?
Well, the crackdown on shell companies continues. Now, another 2 lakh companies have been identified by the government. Now, from a stock market perspective, this could be a short-term negative because most of these firms were used to evade taxes and launder money. But from a long-term perspective, it's a big positive. Clearly, the government's revenues will go up. In fact, it's the presence of all the shell companies that was making it very difficult for the government to collect taxes because as we had seen last year and the year before that also, huge amount of taxes were being evaded through these shell companies by faking long-term capital gains. So all that will come down considerably now that the government has stepped up its act over there.
Right. So now let's talk about markets. It was a decent performance yesterday after Monday's sell-off. So how will the markets pan out today?
Well, the Nifty closing above 9954 was a big was being seen as a positive by most technical analysts. But if you look at global markets, there's been a huge sell-off and tensions in North Korea clearly weighing on investor sentiment. You saw US equities end about 1% lower. At this hour, Asian stocks are also trading weak. In the commodity space, crude oil has been inching up steadily. Brent is now $53 a barrel. Gold too has been firm. Some bit of shifting of assets towards safe havens because of the geopolitical turmoil. Rupee weakened slightly, 64.12 to the dollar. So on the whole, I think you could see stocks being under pressure today because of the weak sentiment in global markets.
How are the markets looking on technical charts?
So based on yesterday's closing, it's forming a bullish hammer-like pattern. It ended about 9954. But if you look at SGX Nifty futures are pointing to a fairly sluggish start today. The key support levels now for the index is seen at 9928 and below that 9880. And in all probability, these could be tested today because of the overall weakness in global markets. On the higher side, technical analysts are saying that the Nifty crossing 10137, which is the previous all-time high, that will be a confirmation of the bullish trend continuing. But in the short term, the index closing above the short-term averages is a good sign, but you still have a very volatile global market because of all the developments in North Korea that could weigh on sentiment. So technical analysts are expecting a lot of choppiness in the short term.
Everybody wants to spend their money wisely. So what are the stocks investors should watch out for?
So Reliance Industries shares will go ex-bonus today. Bharat Financial shares could be in the limelight. The RBI has restricted FIs from making further purchases in that stock. Hotel Leela has said that it is not in talks to sell its Chennai property. And Thomas Cook is said to be in talks to buy a 26% stake in Tourism Finance Corporation. You have a Live Mint report saying that Indigo could be eyeing a stake in Jet Airways in case it's unable to buy a stake in Air India. In stocks which saw a good amount of delivery-based activity on Tuesday, you have Wipro, C8, NIT Technologies, and Ramco Cements. In stocks where there have been short build-up, there was Bajaj Finance, there was Cummins, and there was Wipro.
Thank you, Santosh. That's all for now. But for more cues, views, and analysis, log on to moneycontrol.com.